Listen to me. The only thing standing between you and the life you say you want is not the economy, not your family, not your boss, not your circumstances. It's your mindset. The way you think determines the way you move, and the way you move determines whether you win or whether you lose. Some of you keep telling yourself you don't have enough time, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough support. But the truth is, you don't have the right mindset. You're walking around with a defeated mentality, waiting for life to hand you success like it's a gift. Success isn't a gift. It's earned, it's demanded. It's taken by those who decide in their minds first that they will not be denied. I'm asking you today, what story are you telling yourself every morning when you wake up? Because if the story in your head is, I can't do this, I'm not smart enough, I don't come from the right background, then you've already lost before you step out the door. You don't need a new degree, a new connection, or a new opportunity as much as you need a new mindset. Winners think different. They don't look at problems and say, why me? They look at problems and say, try me. They don't see obstacles. They see opportunities to grow. They don't settle for average because they've already told themselves in their minds, I was built for more. So the question is, what are you feeding your mind? If you keep feeding it doubt, excuses, and negativity, don't be surprised when your life is filled with failure, regret, and missed chances. But if you feed it belief, determination, and vision, then nothing, no setback, no rejection, no circumstance can hold you back. You say you want success, but your mindset still belongs to failure. Change your mind and you will change your life. Stop telling yourself why it won't happen and start telling yourself why it must happen. Stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as the victor. You're not waiting on success. Success is waiting on you. The day you shift your mindset, the day you decide you will not settle, the day you choose to think like a champion, that's the day everything in your life changes. So I'll ask you again, is your mindset holding you back from success? If the answer is yes, then it's time to stop playing small, stop living in fear, and take control of the most powerful weapon you have, your mind. Listen to me. The way you think determines the way you live. Success doesn't start with money, status, or connections. It starts with your mindset. Before you ever hold success in your hands, you have to see it in your mind. If your thoughts are small, your life will be small. If your beliefs are limited, your opportunities will be limited. But if your mindset is bold, fearless, and unshakable, your life will rise to meet that level. Too many people lose the battle before they even step onto the battlefield. Why? Because they've already convinced themselves they can't win. They've told themselves they're not smart enough, not talented enough, not connected enough. And guess what? When you think that way, you live that way. Your actions will always align with your beliefs. If you believe you're not capable, you won't even try. If you believe the door is locked, you won't bother knocking. If you believe success isn't for you, you'll settle for average every single time. But let me flip it for you. What if you believed you could? What if you woke up every morning with the conviction that nothing could stop you? Your behavior would shift instantly. You'd go harder in your work. You'd take risks you've been avoiding. You'd push past fear because in your mind you've already won. That's the secret. Success is mental before it's physical. Champions win the battle in their heads before they step onto the field. Think about it. Two people can face the exact same challenge. One says, this is too hard, I'll never get through it. The other says, this is tough, but I was built for tough. Who do you think is going to break through? It's not about talent, it's not about resources, it's about mindset. One person gave up before they started, the other decided, I will find a way, and that decision became their reality. You've got to start monitoring your thoughts the same way you monitor your money or your diet. If you keep feeding your mind negativity, doubt, and excuses, then don't be surprised when your life reflects failure and regret. But if you feed your mind belief, vision, and determination, your reality will begin to shift. You'll start to notice opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You'll start to push where you once gave up. You'll start to win where you once settled. Your mindset is a lens. If the lens is cracked, everything looks broken. If the lens is clear, you see potential everywhere. That's why changing your mindset is the first step to changing your life. Don't underestimate it. The story you tell yourself in your mind is the story you will live out every day. So hear me clearly, your mindset shapes your reality. You can't control everything in life, but you can control what goes on in your head. And when you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your future. Excuses are the #1 killer of dreams. Every time you say, "I can't because," you're giving power to failure. Excuses sound good in the moment. They make you feel better about why you didn't try, why you didn't commit, why you didn't push. But here's the truth. Excuses don't change your life. They don't pay your bills. They don't create opportunities. They don't build success. Excuses only keep you stuck where you are, comfortable but unfulfilled, safe but unsuccessful. On the other hand, belief is the fuel that drives success. When you believe in yourself, even when no one else does, you create momentum. Belief makes you get up earlier, stay up later, and keep working when others quit. Belief gives you the courage to try again after failure. Belief is the voice in your head that says, "I'm not there yet, but I will be." Without belief, you won't even take the first step. With belief, you'll run through walls if you have to. Let's get real. Everybody has excuses available to them. Everybody has a reason to quit. Maybe you didn't grow up in the right environment. Maybe you don't have the money. Maybe you don't have the support system. Guess what? That's life. If you focus on the excuse wins. But if you focus on belief, you win. Success is not about avoiding struggle. It's about refusing to let struggle define you. Think about the most successful people in the world. Do you think they didn't face setbacks? Of course they did. But instead of feeding their excuses, they fed their belief. They told themselves, "This failure is not final. This obstacle is not the end. This challenge is not bigger than me." That mindset allowed them to keep moving when others stopped. That belief turned their setbacks into setups for comebacks. Excuses are comfortable, but they are also dangerous. They're like quicks. And the more you lean on them, the deeper you sink. Belief, on the other hand, is like a rocket. The more you feed it, the higher you rise. And here's the thing. Belief is not something that just magically appears. You have to train it. You have to practice it. Every time you choose belief over an excuse, you're strengthening your mindset. You're telling yourself, "I can, I will, I must." Don't get it twisted. Belief without action is nothing. But action without belief doesn't last. You need both. When you truly believe in your vision, action becomes natural. You don't need motivation. You're driven by conviction. You stop looking for reasons why it won't work and start finding reasons why it must work. At the end of the day, you have two choices. You can keep feeding your excuses and live a life of regret, or you can fuel your belief and live a life of success. The decision is yours. Excuses will always be there, but so will opportunity. What you choose to feed will determine the life you live. Champions think different. They don't settle. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for someone to hand them the opportunity. They create it. And the reason they keep winning isn't just talent or luck, it's because they demand growth from themselves every single day. See, average people get comfortable. They hit a milestone and they stop. They get one promotion and they relax. They achieve one goal and they think they've arrived. But champions never stop climbing. They never stop learning. They never stop growing. Because they know the moment you stop growing, you start dying. A champion's mindset is built on the idea that every challenge is an opportunity to stretch, to expand, to get stronger. They don't look at a problem and say, "This is too big." They look at it and say, "This is my training ground. This is what's going to make me unstoppable." That's why champions rise when others fall, because they embrace growth instead of resisting it. Growth doesn't feel good. Let's be honest, it's uncomfortable, it's painful. It forces you to let go of your old habits, your old excuses, your old ways of thinking. But that's the price of becoming great. Comfort zones might feel safe, but nothing grows there. If you're not willing to stretch beyond what feels easy, then don't expect to achieve anything beyond average. Champions demand more from themselves than anyone else could demand from them. They push themselves when nobody's watching. They study, they practice, they sacrifice, not because someone told them to, but because they know growth is the foundation of success. And the crazy thing is, the more they grow, the hungrier they get. They don't get satisfied with winning once. They want to win again and again and again. Think about it. Every great athlete, every great leader, every great innovator you know wasn't just talented. They had a growth mindset. They weren't afraid to fail because they knew failure wasn't the end. It was part of the process. They weren't afraid of challenges because they saw challenges as teachers. They weren't afraid of criticism because they used it as fuel to get better. That's what separates champions from everyone else. They demand growth, and they refuse to settle for anything less. If you want to live like a champion, you've got to ask yourself every day, am I growing or am I just coasting? Because coasting feels good for a season, but eventually it leads to decline. Growth, on the other hand, may be hard, but it leads to power, resilience, and greatness. The truth is simple. If you want success, you can't just want it. You have to grow into the person who deserves it. Your mindset must demand that growth. Don't run from the hard stuff. Don't hide from the challenges. Step into them, embrace them, and let them shape you. That's the mindset of a champion.